How representatives of the animal world endure the extreme cold of the Siberian taiga. An icy silence covers the endless expanses of the Siberian taiga. The winter sun barely gives any warmth, a pale, barely perceptible disk in the softly pink sky only from time to time lightly touches the crisp snowy surface. The air seems to have frozen forever, and it feels as if all of nature has been paralyzed under the weight of unbearable cold. The trees stand motionless, wrapped in a thick layer of frost. Their branches crack loudly in the freeze when the thermometer drops to -40 degrees Celsius and below. Somewhere far away, deep in the forest, the cautious crunch of snow can be heard. It is a moose moving slowly and attentively. Tiny ice crystals sparkle on its dense brown fur. In such abnormally severe frosts, almost all living things hide and remain still. But how do animals manage to survive such cruel trials? How do they face the frozen taiga when the temperature falls to -50, -70 degrees Celsius? Part of the taiga's inhabitants has chosen a path tested for thousands of years, to wait out the cold in a state of deep sleep. In a spacious den arranged beneath a massive fallen spruce, a brown bear sleeps. Since autumn, it has sunk into hibernation, accumulating an impressive reserve of subcutaneous fat during the warm season. Now its breathing is rare and very deep, the heart beats slowly and rhythmically. Nature reliably protects the plantigrade from the piercing cold. Neither blizzards nor severe frosts frighten it, the den is insulated by a thick layer of snow, and the body feeds on the stored fat. The bear seems to have plunged into a long magical sleep and will awaken only when the spring sun begins to melt the snow cover. Underground, in burrows and shelters, badgers, raccoon dogs, and some species of rodent sleep in much the same way. They too wait out the harshest time of the year in warm shelters, greatly slowing their breathing and reducing energy and heat expenditure to a minimum. But not everyone can simply sleep until spring. In the taiga there are many animals that must remain active under the frozen sky. And for each of them, nature has prepared its own methods of protection against the cold. Amid the white silence, a wolf moves at a light trot over the snowdrifts. By winter, its silver-gray coat has become even thicker and fuller. Beneath the long guard hairs grows a very dense and warm underfur, a true natural coat that barely lets the frost through. Wolves are not afraid even of the most intense cold. Movement, running, and hunting constantly warm the blood, and their strong, wide paws carry them securely over the hardened snow. Even the little clouds of steam rising from the muzzle cannot cool the body's inner warmth. A united pack obtains food together and supports one another. In a group, it is much easier to survive the most merciless winter night. Near the pack, solitary predators sometimes glide silently through the shadows, for example, the lynx. On its paws, soft and dense brushes of fur act like warm winter slippers. They allow it to move silently across the snow and hardly freeze at all. The lynx leads a solitary life, stalking hares or young roe deer among the snowy thickets. It is helped by its magnificent winter coat and its innate ability to remain motionless for hours, conserving strength and heat until the decisive leap. Smaller animals hide beneath the snow as under a huge warm blanket. In the harshest corners of the taiga, where on the surface the frost of -50 degrees Celsius crackles, voles, mice, and chipmunks live under a powerful layer of snow. There, in a labyrinth of subnivean tunnels and snow chambers, the temperature remains around 0 degrees Celsius, almost like in a cellar. The vole opens a network of tunnels under the snow from one tree to another, reaches stores of seeds and grains hidden back in autumn, curls into a compact little ball, and calmly eats its modest food. Let the storm howl outside, under the snow there is silence, darkness, and relative warmth. For tiny animals, the snow becomes a reliable insulating blanket that covers the entire taiga. Even the small Arctic hare knows how to take advantage of this. During heavy blizzards it digs a hollow in a snowdrift, curls up there, and waits for the bad weather to pass. Birds have also developed their own ways of fighting the icy winter. The capercaillie buries itself headfirst in the snow for the night. The warm snow shelter reliably protects it from freezing. In the morning it emerges, shakes off the snow, and flies to the nearest pines to peck at needles and buds, scarce but life-saving food in winter. The tiny tit fluffs up its feathers on a branch, creating a layer of air between them, the best natural heat insulator. In especially severe cold, small birds gather in compact flocks and spend the night pressed tightly against one another, sharing warmth. Bullfinches and waxwings seize every available frozen rowan berry. The sweet energy helps them survive another long night. Some birds are so adapted to winter that they even begin breeding in the middle of January, for example, the crossbills. They are not afraid of frost. Spruce cones contain enough seeds to feed the chicks, and they insulate their nests with soft moss and their own feathers. And what about those who have neither warm fur nor thick plumage, the cold-blooded inhabitants of the taiga? They have found truly astonishing ways to survive. The small Siberian frog is capable of freezing almost completely throughout the entire winter. With the arrival of cold, it buries itself in silt or hides under a thick layer of fallen leaves. Ice immobilizes its body, breathing stops, the heart almost comes to a halt. From the outside it seems as if the frog has died and turned into a piece of ice. But in its blood there are natural antifreezes, special substances that prevent the cells from rupturing when frozen. As soon as spring touches the forest with its warm breath, the frog gradually thaws and soon is already hopping toward the first snow-free clearing. Many insects overwinter in a similar way. Beetles, caterpillars, butterfly pupae endure extreme cold by remaining motionless in cracks of bark, underbark, or deep beneath the snow. They fall into a state of deep torpor and awaken only when their time comes, in spring or summer. Life does not stop in the taiga's bodies of water either. Beneath the powerful layer of ice that covers rivers and lakes, fish gather in deep wintering pits and move extremely slowly, hardly expending any strength. Beavers built a solid lodge of branches and silt on the shore of a quiet inlet back in autumn. Now the entire beaver family waits out the most severe frosts inside the warm dwelling, whose entrance lies underwater. In intense cold, beavers rarely go outside. They feed on branches stored back in summer and placed underwater near the lodge. The harsh Siberian winter tests the endurance of every inhabitant of the taiga. The moose, the true master of the forest edges, is forced to wander day and night in search of food. Deep snow greatly complicates movement, but nature has granted it very long legs. It easily walks through the snowdrifts, opening paths to its favorite feeding grounds. In winter, the moose chooses places where branches of pines, aspens, and willows are within reach. It eats rough bark, young shoots, everything the forest can offer at this time of year. Thick skin and coarse guard hair protect it from the piercing wind, and beneath them hides a dense, warm underfur. When the frost becomes unbearable, the moose moves into a dense spruce forest, turns its back to the wind, and stands motionless, waiting out the peak of the cold and conserving precious energy. Nature has taught it, unnecessary movements are now mortally dangerous. Every calorie counts when the whole world is chained by ice. Each inhabitant of the taiga, from the tiniest bird to the great predator, has its own unique secrets for enduring the great cold. Some rely on thick fur and abundant plumage, others on huge reserves of fat and long hibernation, still others on the ability to hide under the snow or fall into torpor until better times. Frosts come and go, and the forest's inhabitants continue their eternal cycle of life. However merciless the winter may be, nature has granted them astonishing resilience and ingenuity. On the coldest nights, bright stars shine over the sleeping taiga, and sometimes it seems that the forest is completely silent. But if one listens closely, there is the faint crack of a branch, a barely audible rustle, a distant wolf's howl. It is life holding its breath, yet not surrendering to the cold. This fragile harmony of northern nature, refined over centuries, endures thanks to the remarkable adaptations of animals and birds. And as long as humans do not disturb it, even the most anomalous frosts will remain only one of the chapters in the great natural cycle. It is important to remember, preserving this balance is necessary for all the inhabitants of the taiga. The taiga gives shelter to those who have learned to live in harmony with it and, in return, asks only one thing: respect. In the very heart of the frozen Siberian winter, an invisible yet powerful warmth continues to beat, the warmth of life, which does not fade as long as nature preserves its wise and ancient harmony.